Hi everyone, welcome back to What the FinTech, your FinTech Feel Good show. Today I'm with one of the most impressive person on the AI FinTech space in Hong Kong. I'm with Sunny from Setcell. Hi Sunny, how are you today?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me today.
I'm super excited to have you. I see you during a pitch night that I organized with my company a couple of months ago, and you did a great show there.
Oh, thank you very much. I hope my insight helps.
Yeah, definitely. And after this, we have seen each other in the fintech space and a couple of events a couple of times. So I'm very happy to see you today and being with you on this podcast.
Thank you so much.
Before we start this interview, my first question to everyone is always like, could you introduce yourself a bit? Who are you? What is your background? What have you done before? And how did you become an entrepreneur?
Of course, I graduated from HKUST many years ago. Actually, I was studying computer engineering, and then I actually spent my first year in JP Morgan doing internal consulting, and then I joined a symposium in Switzerland, and I met my next boss there, and then I actually joined a global macro hedge fund in
Mhm.
Liechtenstein, and then I stayed there for 6 years.
Oh, okay, interesting. And what was after this your background there?
Yeah, I was doing trading mostly,
Okay.
building automated trading for asset allocation and stuff like that. And this started my journey of building automation, especially in the robotic space, because 70% of the trading volume in the stock market right now are actually from bots.
Hmm.
So if you want to be a really good trader, or if you want to really be a good investment manager, you have to build very good system to manage your portfolio. Yeah. So at that time, I really learned how to do automation, and I really learned the importance of programming. Right? And then after 6 years, I came back to Hong Kong because I want to start my own company and joined my partner Jovian, my very long-term best friend.
Hmm.
We start this company called Setcell. Yeah. At the very beginning, we are testing out different concepts, ideas, we failed actually 4 or 5 times, yeah, before we land on building virtual assistant for companies. Yeah. At that time, it was a really good idea for us because Google Assistant was really rising. Everybody had their iPhone with Siri, so people are familiar, with virtual assistant, with AI chatbot. But still, for companies to build their own Siri or Google Assistant is prohibitively expensive. Yeah, only really big banks or really big insurance company can afford to do so. So our idea was to build an AI platform for enterprise to easily create their own virtual assistants. Yeah, so this has been our bread and butter for the last 6 years. We founded in 2015. We have our first deployed virtual assistant in 2016,
Hmm.
and then since then, right now we are running around 80 virtual assistant for large enterprises, and we are also offering SME, over 1,000 SMEs, their chatbot solutions as well globally. Yeah.
Congratulations and perfect. It's a good introduction.
Yeah.
What was the turning point in your life to become an entrepreneur? You mentioned you came back in
Yes.
Hong Kong to start your company, but were you interested in this since a long time? It was an idea that matured, like over like a couple of years, or you were inspired by any stories?
Yeah, I think when I was doing investment in a hedge fund, I think the most important thing I learned is time. Time
Mhm.
is the only limited assets one have in their life. And I think to make good use of your limited time, I have to invest in something that is truly meaningful to me as well as to the people surrounding me. So what I really want to do is to build services and build products that are really helping a lot of people. When I look at people trying out a product and they find it fascinating, they are happy with what they are using. This is the most important motivation for me to start my own business.
Perfect. And I can recall on this because I try my podcast every week and
Of
I try
course.
to improve every time. So you were talking about product and platforms.
Yes.
How do you iterate your first ideas? How did you create the first product that you developed? It
Yeah.
was based on your mind,
Yes.
like objectives, or it was based on I don't know the network you had, or maybe the first customers you have.
Yeah. For the very first AI experience chatbot we built, it's actually an open rise chatbot. Like, yeah,
Oh,
looking for restaurants and looking for cuisine recommendations. Uh, I built it myself, and then I iterate and show it to my friends and also to demos with our clients. They like it very much because you can talk to it with raw voice, and then the AI can answer in voice, and
Okay.
it can understand casual Cantonese, right, with mixing in languages, English and stuff like that. And it was quite new at that time. You know,
Okay.
people are fascinated. Oh, it can understand Cantonese, and it can respond in Cantonese, which is one of the most difficult languages in NLP. Yeah. So we were bringing this to demo with a lot of clients, and some of them are really interested. And actually, this land our first client in a shopping mall to do a campaign for them, you know,
Mhm.
and basically we build from there.
Okay, interesting. So did you, after this, improve the Cantonese version of your NLP?
Oh,
Or
of course,
okay.
yes. I think right now we are at the version 4 of our NLP. Yeah, the first version is really primitive, but just to make it work, right? And it worked very well for a lot of campaign automations. I think the second generation would be the workflow, because if you think about AI assistant, it is actually like a next generation of RPA, you
Mm.
know, robotic process automation. Because with AI assistant, you still have to design a huge workflow to support these assistants. If you have looked at into the UI that builds Siri, is actually thousands and hundreds of thousands of workflows behind each topics.
Mhm.
Yeah, so this is something that we build as our second generation of product. Yeah, and then the third generation comes when we revamp our whole NLP with a lot of pre-processing. We also support a lot of other languages. And the fourth generation in this year to be launched is incorporating ChatGPT as well.
Okay, interesting. And did you just focus on this product for many years, or your customers came and like ask you to maybe change the language or create new platforms as well that you deliver, and you create a full suite of solutions after this?
Yes, yes, yes. So at the very beginning, we only do enterprise solutions, and that's why our product is centered around enterprises. Yeah. 2 years ago, we launched our SME product called Catalog. You know, catalog, but with chat, CHAT. And then we are servicing our capabilities to a lot of SME as well. Some larger company will use that as well, but we are mostly focusing on smaller companies like salons, you know, schools, high schools, and we collect thousands different companies in using this product. And then this generation, we are incorporating a lot of ChatGPT functions into it to make automation more smooth, more interactive. Yeah.
Interesting. Do you always focus just on this, or do you have also like new products based on the new technology we came after this? Because you say you mentioned 2015, right? I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So at the time you had NLP, but when I met you, it was mostly about generative AI. So
Yes.
how do you follow the trends, improve your product with the new technologies coming
Yeah,
on?
that's a good question. When we talk about NLP, it has been in the market for decades, basically, right? So what we do is we use technology and customize for the Hong Kong market, including a lot of training for Cantonese local speaking dialects and slangs. We also build a lot of workflows surrounding domain specific use case, like for onboarding for banks, onboarding for insurance companies. And the next evolution is that now have the capabilities of understanding languages very well, because we have been doing this for 7 years. So this is what we call natural language understanding,
Okay.
NLU. So this is our bread and butter. We do it very, very well. But right now with GPT is not actually a new technology. You know, our company has been using GPT-3 for a couple of years already. What is the major breakthrough for GPT-3 is that they introduce a human reinforcement
Mhm.
to make it more interactive, and they rebrand it as a Chat GPT, right?
Yes.
And that's when Chat GPT becomes the most impressive product ever. Yeah. And right now, what we are doing is we can incorporate this, what we call natural language generation, as part of our product as well. Yeah. So there are it opens up a lot of different possibility. Yeah. The first one is that we can enable our virtual assistant to speak more creatively. Yeah. Before we have to use standard reply, kind of robotic reply to most of our customers. But now I can actually repackage the answers to be more humanizing, you know, more personal. And then second of all, we can build actually avatar, right? Like with a digital human, with a AI face that can interact with you on a screen for kiosks or with on a display. And then the third thing is it opens up the capabilities of doing a large scale document retrieval in for internal database. Yeah. Because if you have tried the new Bing AI, it's actually way better than the traditional Google engine because other than doing semantic search on your documents, it can actually give you answers based on the search results. And the answer can only be achieved using generative AI.
I just came back from Money 2020 in
Mhm.
Amsterdam, as I just mentioned to you before this
Yes.
podcast. And I was, okay, in Hong Kong, we can see a lot of events about generative AI and a lot of talks about generative AI. But I was also super surprised about seeing so many companies, even crypto exchange, adopting ChatGPT, Chatbot, or telling everyone they're using generative AI. What are your views on this point of those companies taking care of generative AI? Also, I would like just to add a thing. The company like they are performing super well right now on the Nasdaq and on Wall Street. The company pushing through the generative AI like Nvidia, Meta,
Yeah.
Microsoft. So, what are your views on those?
Oh, yeah. Um, as I said, GPT is not a new technology. Google has been testing it for years. GPT-3 have been in the market since 2020. What is impressive with ChatGPT is that with added layer of human reinforcement learning, it makes the AI much easier to interact with. Yeah. When we are talking about AI, what we are essentially building is an interface between human and machine. Yeah. And ChatGPT lowers this barrier from very difficult to very easy. Even my mom is using ChatGPT.
Oh yeah, really?
Yeah, she types something and then just for fun, and then you can get a response that's like a human. And that's is I think that what is fascinating about this technology. It lowers the barrier of everybody of engaging with an AI, and they can actually build meaningful applications for their daily life. Right, a lot of people now using it for mostly generating copywriting. Some of them are using it for summarizing passages. So I think going forward from 10 years later, when we look back, ChatGPT is like a baby.
Definitely.
Yes, and then I don't know what it would look like, but I'm sure this is just a baby step. Yeah. So when we go from here to the next step, it's a bit scary to be honest, because when I look when we were testing about GTP3 2 years ago, we think that the version they have now, GPT-4, will be decades away. Yeah, because if you look at the computing power between machine and human, is still some gap there, and we think that the architecture must be not that simple to imitate human reasoning. But what is fascinating is that ChatGPT, if you study the architecture, is basically guessing the next word, right, on a systematic basis. But it can do some kind of reasoning, which is not the original purpose of the design. So with GTP4, they showcase that if you feed enough financial data to the AI, it can actually advise you on the tax report. And this is something that is scary, a little bit scary for us, because when we design this language model, we don't really expect it to have the ability to reason or do any kind of calculation. But the end product is that a lot of our engineers as well are using ChatGPT to help with their coding problem. Yeah. So I think this is a breakthrough in itself. But if we look back 10 years in the future, this is a baby step.
What does it mean for you as an entrepreneur, or also for your company, Setcell? Is it a good news? I know you say it's scary, but did you had like more requests for businesses for projects directly after that hype of ChatGPT from the bankers, maybe the retail industry, or like a government or anyone?
Yeah, this is exciting for us. I wish it happened earlier than
Okay.
later. Yeah, to be honest, because what we are building is essentially digital labor, right? So that's what we have been doing. Cell has been doing is to automate tedious routine work. Normal people like you and me do not want to do, like all the RPA solutions. You don't want to dedicate staff to read all the reports and fill in the forms. Right?
Right, and also it's part of the employee journey.
Yes, exactly. So from RPA to virtual assistant, to the next generation of AI based on generative AI. We are building a roadmap from where we are to a digital labor vision that maybe in the future we just go to this HR company and say, "Oh, I would like to hire an advisor for my internal accounting department," and it is the AI. The AI is well trained on all the AI accounting dictionary, accounting rules for Hong Kong and taxation and stuff like that. And I recruit the AI, and then I train based on my company data, and then it can already make the audit report for me. It can give them tips on how to manage accountings. So this is the future that we are going into. And no matter the technology, um, there are many building blocks to
Mhm.
this vision. Yeah. So with ChatGPT, actually, is a leap forward because before that, we really don't really have reasoning. We don't really have very good way to generate languages to let alone to speak it, right? So right now, it really solve a big block of achieving this future. Yeah. And so with this blackboard ready, so our company is actually building this as a full-fledged digital human, not just with the capability to understand. As I said, there's understand, there's an ability to speak, and then there's ability to memorize, which is still lagging for ChatGPT. And then you have facial expressions like a look and feel that you can interact. And with all these components, then you can really build the digital labor that I said.
Perfect. From the solution you are developing, you mentioned you work with big industries, SMEs as well. Do you have also like the same request from SMEs and big corporate, or and do they come like with the same questions about your product and the new AI wave? And how do you answer those questions and challenges there?
Yeah. So that's a good questions. Um, for really large companies, the key is integration. When we build an AI, AI is just the brain, right? If it doesn't have the hand or doesn't have the way to complete a task, it is kind of useless. Yeah. So we have actually built around our AI with many different integrations, like with CRM, like Salesforce, Genesis, and call center applications like Genesis. So we build around this with a lot of the support for large companies. So whenever they say, "Oh, I want to change my booking," or I want to check my bills, what is my next payment? So it can actually call different system to get the data answers they want. So this is what big company are really struggling with, right? To make an AI that connects with different system and act as a single interface for their customers with their all other legacy system, enterprise systems. For SME, the pain point is totally different. Yeah, for SME, they just want a really quick reply to all the inquiries because if you're running 10 shops in Hong Kong, you don't really have time to text each customer. But most of the customer are asking very basic stuff like, "Oh, can I get a refund?" or "What is your delivery status?" So what we are building is a platform for them to easily automate all these workflows. At the same time, they can still talk to each of the customer using our live chat. So it's automation first, and then with live chat, and it can solve most of their problems for smaller companies.
Very clear. We have a lot of AI startup in Hong Kong,
Mhm.
and your company is one of them. How do you differentiate yourself compared to the others, and what is the unique proposition that you bring on the market?
Yep. I think there are not enough AI startups in
Okay,
Hong Kong. Yeah. So when I started this company, Sessel, I think there were at least 1,000 companies in Hong Kong doing mobile app. Yeah, I think there are still over 1,000 companies in Hong Kong doing mobile app. And the companies who are really doing research in natural language processing, maybe less than 20. Yeah. So, um, but for me, I think it should be vice versa. There should be 2,000 companies in Hong Kong doing AI and only 50 doing apps. Yeah, because when we're talking about app, if you have a really good AI, why would you need an app? Because you just do everything through the chat, or you can single interface that can handle all this stuff. So for us, our really unique selling point is our research in AI, because we have been doing NLP research for many years. So we have our own models, different kind of models. Even if we incorporate GPT, we will have another models to monitor the answers generated from GPT, and as well as the prompt rewriting to the GPT. So we have double layers, encapsulating what we use ChatGPT for. Yeah, so that's really what we are focusing on.
And is your company based only in Hong Kong, or do you have also offices overseas, maybe
Yeah.
in Singapore, in Vietnam?
So our core product team is in Hong Kong, but we also have engineers from Vietnam and China. Yeah, so we work mostly remotely with these other teams.
What was the challenge for you to grow your team from you and your best friend starting that company to a company of 30 people now?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is to understand what customer are looking for. Yeah.
Mhm.
So when we first uh, do chatbots, right? A lot of people are using it as a gimmick. To be honest, they do campaigns, they do automation on the engagement using auto replies on Facebook and Instagram, and that's pretty much what they're doing. But then after a couple of years, we think that it's not very sustainable of doing such thing, and then we invest heavily in NLP. And at that time, we solve a lot of problems for really big companies that their inquiries are actually quite complex. When we are looking at utilities company, when we're looking at transportation company, so there are a lot of nuance in building up this product, and we have to really talk to all the customers. And for many of the customers, we actually review their conversation on a monthly basis. So we look at all the conversation the AI does, and then train on this data and make our AI better and better. So it's a continuous process. We are handling around 100 million inquiries every year now. So over the last 7 years, I think we have collected more than 500 million data. And we use this data to train our model back and back and then again. So this is a continuous process to make it more useful and more valuable to our client. But with ChatGPT, I think possibility are much more right now, because before we only have the understanding part, but now we have the tools to generate as well.
So how do you manage all this data you capture together and like the expectation of the new product coming here and developing the solutions as well?
Yeah, I think the data would be interesting because we um, imagine we are like a HR company,
Mhm.
so we have 100 of staff that talk to all the Hong Kong people every day on every second, on the bus routes, on bank accounting, on insurance claims, right? So all these data are useful for us because we understand what people are looking for when they talk to your brands or companies, what they are struggling with. Maybe a lot of people are cross border doing business with your company, and then they struggle with the account opening. So we understand these nuances, and we can tailor our model better for the generative AI age.
We spoke a lot about ChatGPT and generative AI, but do you have any new product or just products you have developed who are exciting you right now? Or are you exciting about new features you are bringing to your, for example, your chatbot or your solution for
Yes.
SMEs right now?
So the first product we are most exciting with is digital human. So right now we are building a product that has a human face with a human voice, and then it has GPT as well as our model behind. There's a knowledge base backup to be able to interact with customers. The most interesting thing we are building with ChatGPT is to add a memory layer, because with GPT it can generative a lot of the content very well, but it cannot understand your context very well because it's limited by the token sign. And the token sign, even if they have a million token, is still too small. So what we are building is a memory layer to really try to understand what the customer is coming from and has an interactive dialogue with them. So we kind of like a solution integrators. We work with different partners in bringing this together as a single product. Yeah. If everything went very well, this product will be very ready by Q3. Yeah.
Mhm.
So this is the most exciting product for us right now. And then the second product I would also like to bring in is document retrieval. So it's like a Bing for Bing AI, but for company knowledge. Yeah, because a lot of companies are struggling with their knowledge management. So they have all this huge amount of documents, different versions with different teams, and they have no way to organize it. But with GPT, especially how Bing AI implement their search engine, now we can allow enterprise to build their own Bing AI, but based on their internal documents. So you will have a semantic search on all your internal documents, and then you also have a GPT generated answers based on what you're searching. And I think it would be helpful to a lot of large companies in order to make sense of the data they have.
Perfect. I'm very passionate about everything you're sharing with me. I'm a bit lost with everything I want to ask you because we go to different direction and we answer some questions at the same time. But we spoke a lot about the technologies that you are using, the excitement about new technologies. But sorry, I will be a bit challenging here. In terms of security, how do you manage the security? How do you manage to not have like any leak or any issue with the technology here? And how do you protect yourself and your company?
Yeah, that's a very good questions. And in the past, our solution actually deploy on the data center of the bank. So what we call on-premises installation. We can do the same actually with LLM. So we have our own closed network LLM that can be deployed in the bank infrastructure. And this kind of LLM would be great for example, automating emails, tagging customer profile on the CDP or CRM. For the generative AI part, we are mostly using Microsoft Azure. So we actually now have a project working with one of the largest conglomerate to put everything on their managed Azure, Microsoft Azure. And I think it's a good way to protect their own data because when the solution is deployed, even our company would not have access to this data. So everything will be running in a network, in the managed network by Azure, owned by the clients. So, and it, of course, our solution is also audited by a lot of the third-party security companies because we are now serving around 16 financial institutions in Hong Kong right now. Yeah, so yeah, we passed a lot of audits over the years.
Perfect. You mentioned about like regulated entities. So my next question is a bit also challenging. How do you navigate with the regulation of each industry you're working? For example, you work with banks, you work with retail companies, different regulation, right? And if you are working with other markets, how do you navigate to the difference between all those landscape?
Yeah. When we first developed the AI chatbot for banks, we have to pass a lot of compliance review, especially how we build our models and how we package the answers and deliver to the customers. Over the years, we have built very good evaluation tools that can show that our product is accurate enough uh, compared to our human counterparts. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When you compare AI system, you always compare with the human counterparts. So I think evaluation is very important, being the first factor. And then the second factor is to understand what are the concerns from the regulations. Right? When people are talking about data security, they are normally talking about personal data, yeah, because they're most afraid of the leakage of the personal data. But for AI company, the personal data or specific about the person's HKID or credit card number is not really important to our AI analysis, right? So that's why we also have a model that can remove all this data at the client side before the AI analysis. So this is something that we have built along the years that can separate data from personal data. And then we will only manage to access the data part, which is non-personal. And then over the years, we build trust with all these companies that, okay, because the data we pass to SSL has no personal data, and then it will be much easier on the compliance and regulation level.
We spoke about like the excitement of ChatGPT and what it will bring to everyone, right? But I don't want yourself to repeat yourself. But do you see like, except ChatGPT, generative AI, any specific trends or challenge that the industry will foresee and face?
Yeah, so the hype right now is huge, right? People talk about ChatGPT as 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 general intelligence, which really is not, you know. Um, so I think for like blockchain or Bitcoin, you know, after 1 year they may die down a little bit, but you can never say that the AI is useless or the way the ChatGPT it builds is not useful, right? Because the the usage proof is otherwise as well already. So when we are talking about the future, I think one of the most important area for GPT is to how we can make it more personal. Because right now it's still quite kind of generic, kind of general. You know, it doesn't have a good understanding of your problem. Yeah. So I think from the next 2 years, we will see a lot of progress in making this technology LLM more personal.
Mhm.
It means that it really understands your problem segment, and it can know your nuances with the task you are working with. I always have energy about ChatGPT. It's like a 21 years old
Mm.
university graduate. He is quite smart. He passed all the SAT tests. He has pretty good common sense in terms of knowledge, but he never worked for your company. He didn't work for any of the companies for any of the years, right? So when you talk to a 21 fresh graduate with a 5 years over experienced industry expert, you see a difference there. I think for the next couple of years is really we have to focus more on how we can make this AI learn the specifics of how a company works, and then only after that the AI will be truly disruptive to a lot of the business enterprise solutions in the world.
And if we focus only on Setcell right now,
Mhm.
on your company, how do you position Setcell for those challenges and how do you address them?
Yep. So as I said, we are really a focus on AI company. So our bread and butter is the NL understanding, and now we have the natural language generation as well. So we are combining these two to make a seamless product. So as I said, one of our core product right now is internal document search. So we are using OpenAI as a layer to generate response, but the document search, document ranking, semantic search are all powered by our own products. So we package it as a whole, and we offer to enterprise as a single product. Yeah. So that's the value of that, because without our NLP and without other models, the OpenAI will only give you a very generic answer, and the answer is often wrong because it couldn't find the right passage to summarize on, or it will say something that you don't really want it to say because it is built on languages from the world, right? So you need to have other models in order to monitor
Mm.
this AI, and also a lot of the pre-processing that goes into the AI. So the OpenAI is just part of the solution. So you will still need a lot of AI companies to build a product that are tackling enterprise solutions and as a offering as a one-stop solution. And that's what we are doing.
Perfect. If we speak about the future, what is the vision for the development of your company in the coming years? It can be a market, it can be some milestone as well, it can be fundraising. What do you see coming? What do you would like to achieve in the coming years?
Yeah. I will say things about our company as an AI HR company.
Okay.
I think in uh, years to come, when you talk to a sales, it would be HR company. Like, oh, I want to hire uh, customer service for my banks to open an account, and I would put it on the desk in
Mhm.
front of the branch. And then I would start an interview process with many different AIs, and then the AI would give you pretty good response already. But then when you hire the AI, we will have a process that you can learn, talk with the AI, so the AI can learn what your task is and perform very well over the years and continuously improving. So what we will imagine our company to become is HR company, but for digital labors. In order to achieve that, we already have completed a few of the main challenges. So one is what we call workflow automation. So our product is really centralized on automating a lot of the different workflows. Think of it as a RPA 2.0. Second part is the NLP, which you have to understand what people are talking. So this is already mostly soft, I would say. And then the next part is NLG, and now you already have the component to do that, but we still lack the component called memory. Yeah, you don't really have a good memory that can train all these components based on the company knowledge. So this is something that we are building on right now as a number four missing component. And the number five missing component is the interface. Yeah. But we are working with a lot of partners to develop this technology right now. And this is not far fetched. Like when you play a game, like a video game, you already have very realistic, a hyper realistic digital avatar. And also NVIDIA and other lot of companies are building this technology as well. So I think number four and number five will be ready very soon. I think in the next 3 to 5 years. And after that, you will have a full-fledged digital human that will be able to work in various walks of industries, even as an assistant to you or assistant to the companies to really help with a lot of the tasks that humans don't want to do.
Good answer. Uh, yeah, I like it. It's very nice, and we can see that the progression that you are doing. If people want to know more about your company, do you have a blog? Do you have a website? Do you have like some research you are publishing anywhere?
Oh, sure. Yeah, just email me maybe. And my email is sunny, sunny, at chatbot.com.hk. So we are one of the first company who does chatbot.
Perfect, perfect. Do you have like any recommendation of I don't know, like books, blogs, podcasts for people interested on your field or would like to know more about what you are doing?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if someone who would like to think or dream about AI, I think there's a book called Super Intelligence by Nick Bostrom, which
Mhm.
is a really good read. What he proposed is that when AI was um, inferior to human, for example, chess, image recognition, people would think the AI would be very stupid, like oh, it's useless. But when AI tips over the human pawns of achieving the same accuracy, for example, facial recognition, playing checks, and then it would go for superhuman intelligence, and people would suddenly be amazed. Oh, wow, how come I didn't catch that before? And this would be amazing. And I think a lot of the AI problem we are facing right now is the same. Maybe you are now when you look at it, it's still like, oh, it doesn't work, it will never be working. But whenever it surpass this moment and then it goes super intelligent, it will never catch up because when we talk about chess, creative writing, AI has pretty much surpassed all of us. So I think it's a good read of to dream about this problem.
Perfect. Do you have like any blogs or Twitter we can follow you and people listening this podcast can follow or add you?
Oh, sure. I mean, everyone who interested to talk to us, just Google me and then go to our LinkedIn and then you can
Okay.
follow me there.
So you're pretty active on LinkedIn.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for coming today. It was a big pleasure for me to see you here and discuss with you. The discussion here was like really clear for me. Really like it. You give me a lot of imagination as well. So thank you very much for coming today.
Yes. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you
Thank you
so
very
much.
much.
Cheers.